Hi, my name is Jeremy Hess with Akeyless, and in this video, we're going to do a product demo of the Password Manager for admins. Before we move forward, this video is going to be the configuration video for admins, and in the follow-up videos, we're going to do two Password Manager for user videos where we will show how users can use the web extension as well as the mobile app for all their password management needs. In this video, we're going to show how admins can create a new authentication method, create an access role and then associate the authentication method, migrate passwords from LastPass or any other password manager to Akeyless, and a bit about audit logs for password tracking. So let's go ahead to the demo. Here we are in our Akeyless panel, and what we're going to do is start by creating an authentication method. And this authentication method will be how your users will access their Akeyless accounts. So we're going to go to New. In this case, we're going to do SAML, hit Next, and we'll call this User Group 1. And here you can add any other configurations you need. And we are going to choose Require Subclaim on Role Association, and we'll show that in just a bit. Click Next. We're going to go ahead and add our metadata URL. In this case, we're using Okta, and we're going to make sure to add a unique identifier here. In this case, it's going to be the email address of the user. The next thing we're going to go ahead and do is create an access role for the authentication method in order to give those users specific permissions. So if I click New, we'll call it User Group 1 Role, and click Next, and I'm going to first associate the authentication method. So if I type in U, it starts to search and it finds it. The next thing I need to do here is I required subclaims for this authentication method. So in this case, I'll call it group dev_admin, and the reason I call it that is because in our Okta account, we see that we have a group called dev_admin with specific users that are part of that group, meaning only users from that specific group in Okta will have access to log in with these permissions. So we'll go ahead and click Save. And once we have that associated, we'll click Next. The next thing we're going to do is create rules for the authentication method and for any user that's using that authentication method. So we'll click Add. In this case, we'll give only access to items. That's where your passwords are held. And we'll give it to them in a specific path. We'll just call it the user group 1 path. And we'll give access in that whole folder to any of the passwords in that folder. And we have the option to give create, read, update, delete, or list permissions. And in this case, what we'll just do is go ahead and give read permissions for those users so that they don't have the ability to create. You can also give create permissions to them as well. You can create subfolders in user group 1 to give certain users more permissions, certain users fewer permissions. And once that's done, you click Save. And we add that to the rules, then go ahead and click Next, and you have a few more options to add users to see within their account. We can, for example, let them see audit logs that are related to just their account. Anyway, we'll go ahead and click Finish. And once that's created, we now have our authentication method and our role for which users can then access passwords within this path. So what we can do is now see how we can import passwords from LastPass or any other type of password manager tool that is able to export as a CSV file. And what we're going to do is go ahead to our terminal for this one. So if we open up our terminal, we can run the Akeyless import passwords command, and you have to have your Akeyless CLI installed, and there's videos on that as well. And so Akeyless import passwords, then we're going to have the import path, which is the location of the CSV file that you saved. And in this case, I called it lastpass.csv, and it's actually located in my downloads folder. So if I do /downloads/lastpass.csv, and I have the target folder, which is LastPass. Now this is the folder within my Akeyless account. But what I'll do is, in this case, I will call it user group 1, which means all of the passwords within this CSV file, there's only one in it for this example, will go into that user group 1 folder, which we saw that we gave access to earlier in the access roles. The last flag is the accessibility flag, which will tell us where the passwords are going to be shown. In this case, regular means in the corporate account side versus the personal option, which is for personal passwords that are not accessible for the company as a whole. When I go ahead and click enter, it's going to go ahead and actually run the import. And we see here it contained one password. It was successfully parsed and imported. If we go back to the account and I click on items, we can go ahead and see the user group 1 folder was created. Now, if there was a user group 1 folder and you imported something new into there, it wouldn't create a folder, but in this case, it created the folder for us because we never had a folder called user group 1 in the account. And we see that there is a password which was imported from that CSV file which we had earlier, and that's the LinkedIn password for the company. And the last thing we're going to show is just a little bit about how the audit logs look. So you can see how you can follow password information, for example. When you click on the audit logs here on the left, you'll be able to see a lot of different actions happening in the account, and you'll see various things like listing items. So here we have a password that was recently viewed. In that case, that was the LinkedIn password I just looked at. And you can see all the various types of actions in the account. You can see over here all the different types of actions you have access to. And you can follow and also export all of these logs to any of a number of log applications. So that is a short demo of how an admin would create an authentication method for users, would create an access role for permissions as well, would also be able to migrate and import passwords from another password manager, and a little bit about how to see the audit logs related to the various actions within the Akeyless account. Thanks so much for watching.